Hey guys, this is Tauna. Today we have a huge amount of leaks again for the Modern Horizons 3. It looks like, someone has managed to get their hands on a booster box or something like that, because there is just so many more leaks coming out of the woodwork in the last like 2 days. It's pretty crazy. Before we get into it though, I'd like to ask you guys if you would subscribe, like, that kind of stuff. We cover all this stuff. I think we're the first on to showing you guys and everything, and at the moment we're getting a whole bunch of views, but not many people are subscribed. So I'd love to see you guys subscribe. We're trying to hit 3,000 is our next kind of big goal here. Even if 1% of the people who subscribe watch the video subscribe, it would be amazing. So let's get into it. So first up, we've got THRB Charm here, a one colorless, one to deal damage equal to the number of creatures, equal to twice the number of creatures you control to target creature. Exile a target enchantment, or exile any number of target players' graveyards. There are so many different uses for this. This is a common, keep in mind. There are so many different uses for this, if you've got a go wide board, it's essentially just destroy a creature, destroy an enchantment, or exile number of, it's like essentially Farewell Light. It's really, really nice. I love this one. We've got Dog Umbra here, and I don't know about the art. The art is certainly something. So this has basically two uses. One, you can put it on your own thing to give them Umbra armor, make it so that you destroy the aura instead of destroying the creature the next time it gets destroyed, or you can use it to make something of an opponent's not be able to attack or block. So a nice kind of, twist on like a modal spell is really interesting. We've got Wither and Bloom here. It gets a target creature -3/-3, and then you can also pay 1 and a black to exile it from your graveyard, put a +1/+1 counter onto something. You can only activate that as a sorcery. There's a lot of cards seemingly within like the black and green, I believe it is, that are built around, adapting and when something gets a +1/+1 or something. So there's lots of really great uses for this later on. We've got Glimpse the Impossible, which I believe we've actually seen before. You exile the top 3 cards of your deck, and then you may play those cards this turn at the beginning of your next end step. If any of them are exiled, you instead, remain exiled. You put them into your graveyard, create an Eldrazi spawn. So, there's lots of interesting ways you can potentially use this. It's Impulse Draw for 3, as well as give you Eldrazi spawn in case you don't play them. We've got Jolted Awake here. It's choose 1 artifact or creature in your graveyard. You get 2 energy counters, and then you can pay energy equal to the CMC of that card. If you do, you get to return it from your graveyard to the battlefield. A really nice kind of resurrect card that's for energy. So if you've got lots of kind of energy spare, this is going to be, pay 1, resurrect something, get 2 energy. You've also got cycling on this card, which is nice to see. If you don't have the energy to be able to do anything, you can just pay 2, discard, and draw a card. We've got Tempest Harvester. I'm actually surprised at quite how much energy stuff is in this, right? Energy seems to be all over the place. So this one here is when it enters battlefield, get 2 energy. You can then pay 1 energy and tap it to draw a card and discard a card. Another common as well. Evolution Witness. So this is what I was talking about, the +1/+1s here. So it's got 1 and a green, adapt 2, and then whenever 1 or more +1/+1s are put onto it, return target permanent from your graveyard to your hand. So there's a lot of different uses for this, anything that has, proliferate in your deck, or anything that's giving, +1/+1s to your squad, or whenever you attack, put +1/+1s onto it. You get to return a lot of cards potentially to your hand, once, you could potentially do this, once a turn, or if you, have multiple instances, you could return a lot of stuff to your hand. We've got Hypnotic Siren here. This is the other thing that there's a lot of different cards for, is bestow and enchantments and stuff. So this one here is 1 blue, and it's got flying. You control the enchanted creature. So if you bestow it, you get to steal something and then give it +1/+1 and flying. Triton Wave Breaker, another one with bestow, as long as it's a creature, it's got prowess. If not, the enchanted creature gets +1/+1 and prowess. Necro Bloom. This is probably one of the strongest cards I've seen here. This is a landfall. So this is, it's a legendary as well, so potentially could be a commander. Landfall, whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, create a 0/1 green plant. If you control 7 or more lands with different names, create a 2/2 zombie instead. Land cards in your graveyard have dredge 2. So You know, there's lots of very interesting uses for this. It's much kind of like a Field of the Dead in the command zone, Field of the Dead creature, essentially. It's you know, unfortunately, you know, it's not in Naya colors because otherwise this would go really hard in the Yuma deck that I've got. But, you know, land cards having Dredge too, that's really cool. We've got Guide of Souls here. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 1 life and gain an energy. Whenever you attack, you can pay 3 energy, and when you do, you get to put 2 +1/+1s on and a flying counter onto a target attacking creature. It becomes an angel in addition to its other types. So you can, you know, bestow things with angel by paying 3 and give them +2/+2 as well. You know, lots of really great uses for that too. Devourer of Destiny. So this is a very, you know, 7 mana. If it's in your opening hand though, you can reveal it. If you do, you get to look at the top 4 cards of your library at the first upkeep. You can put one of those cards back on the top of your library and exile the rest. So lots of really great cards that do stuff when you exile stuff. But you know, it allows you to be able to essentially choose a card to add into your hand at the very start. So there's interesting uses you could potentially get out of this. When you cast this spell, exile target permanent that's 1 or more colors. So you get to, you know, Path of Exile something with this as well, remove something from the battlefield. Spy Master's Vault, when it enters tapped unless you control a swamp. It just taps to add black, or you can pay a black, tap it to give a target creature connive X, where X is the number of creatures that died this turn. So you can connive a lot with this if you just do it after a board wipe. We've got Deserted Temple, which is a reprint. We've got Kalia of the Vast, which is a reprint with, what is this art? This is insane art. You know, really, really great kind of reprint here. A character that's been a huge commander, really, really fun commander too. Really great card. I love this. Then we've got a reprint for Buried Alive as well. We've got Frogmere Enforcer here. Interesting to see Prototype coming back. It's also got affinity for artifacts too. So most likely, you know, at the start of the game, you'd be playing this for 4 with its Prototype, but later on you can do some really great stuff by having the affinity for artifacts as well to reduce that cost there. Sowing Myco Spawn. This is another one that's really bonkers. I think this is definitely going to go into my Yuma deck. So it's Devoid, Kicker, 1 and a colorless. When you cast this spell, search your library for a land, put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle. You just get to find a land, put it onto the battlefield and shuffle. And it's just a land. It's not a basic land or anything like that either. So I can go find my deserts with this. When you cast this spell, if it was kicked, you get to also exile a target land. So you can exile someone else's land. Really great. Disruptor Flute here. It's got flash. As it enters the battlefield, choose a card name. Spells with that chosen card name cost 3 more to cast. So this is a card that, you know, can go against those decks like with Slime Against Humanity or something like that. Or in, you know, Modern or any kind of actual other constructor format that's not EDH. You could really stop someone's great kind of game plan there. Activated abilities of sources with the chosen name can't be activated as well unless they're mana abilities. Ather Spike here, choose a target spell, you get 2 energy, then you may pay any amount of energy, counter that spell unless its controller pays 1 for each energy paid this way. So it's, you know, a counter that also can potentially force people to pay stuff if you've got a whole bunch of energy built up too. Aani Fells the Gaudsire. So this is a saga here. Exile something from an opponent. Create a 2/1 white cat warrior. Then put a vigilance counter on a creature you control too. And then you can also give something double strike there with its 3. Thriving Skyclaw, a cat dragon. With flying, when it enters the battlefield, you get 3 energy. And then when it attacks, you can pay 3 energy. If you do, put a +1/+1 counter onto it. Primal Prayers, this one as well is another freaking bonkers card. When it enters the battlefield, you can get 2 energy. You may cast creature spells with mana value 3 or less by paying energy rather than paying their mana costs. So you can play things, I think this is just 1 energy. That's bonkers. If you cast a spell this way, you may cast it as though it had flash as well. Ocelot Pride here. This one here is easily going to be going into my wife's Rin and Seri deck. So it's got First Strike and Lifelink. It only costs 1, by the way. It's got Ascend, and then at the beginning of your end step, if you gain life, you get a +1/+1. You get a 1/1 white cat. Then if you have the City's Blessing, for each token you created that entered the battlefield this turn, create a token that's a copy of it. So you could really flood the board with a whole bunch of tokens with this. It's like what is it, like a, not doubling season, like a primal, I can't think of what the card's called. Someone will tell me down in the comments. Either way, in the, you know, a decent kind of creature to do that with. We've got Brain Surge here, draw 4, then put 2 from your hand on the top of your library in any order. Marionette Apprentice. So this is obviously, you know, a play on the other Marionette Master that does, you know, fabricate stuff, and then whenever artifact you control, put it from the graveyard into the battle. Whenever an artifact you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, target opponent loses life equal to it. This instead is just whenever another creature or artifact is put into the graveyard from the battlefield, each opponent loses 1 life. So it's kind of like a mix between like a Blood Artist and Marionette Master. Tune the narrative. Draw a card, get 2 energy. Simple card. It's a common, but, you know, in an energy deck, it could go really great. And then finally, we've got Immerse Iron Eater. So this has affinity for artifacts. When it enters the battlefield, you draw X cards and you lose X life, where X is the number of artifacts you control. Half the number of artifacts you control rounded down. Then you can pay 3 and a red to sacrifice an artifact to deal damage equal to the sacrifice artifact's mana value to any target. So if you've got like a Rakdos, I don't know, what would you put this in? Like a Rakdos artifact deck, or like, you know, like a, or maybe a, what, I don't know, Mardu artifact deck. There's a few different artifact decks you could potentially put this in, where, you know, the drawing cards is going to be worth it. The infinity for artifacts makes it easier to get out. This part here, not quite so much, but, you know, there could definitely be some really great uses for that. So I'd love to hear from you guys as to what you guys think. And again, please subscribe if you want to, you know, see more videos like this. I hope you guys had a great day, and goodbye.